Any fence requires marking, whether it's a fence made of corrugated metal, chain link, metal pickets, boards, or rigid foam board. This is a lazy and simple way to mark a fence. It's very rare for everything to be perfect, a flat area without any cluttered obstacles. The process can also be complicated by the considerable length of the future fence, like ours. This is the first video about an ultra low effort and ultra material saving yet beautiful fence. With the development of a technology for installing ultra reliable posts on difficult frost heave prone soil with simple panel installation. The goal is for even a housewife to be able to handle this task, and for any beginner craftsman to do it with ease. Viewers of the Pesni Yashi Kashyaka channel will be the first to learn this important information, so let's go through everything step by step. Hello everyone. On one side, I will start from the end post of our front fence. I attached a 3mm diameter cable to it using a clamp. On the other side, to the post that was considered the corner one, I managed to attach a piece of steel tubing with a mounted roller. The roller helped me achieve a decent tension on the cable, as much as possible over a considerable distance of 50 meters. The cable, unlike various cords and ropes, hardly stretches at all, and that's exactly what I need. To achieve the required length, I even had to splice the cable using cable clamps. Then I needed a carabiner and a plumb bob. I connected the plumb bob string to the carabiner with a simple loop. The carabiner moves easily along the cable. The loop allows you to quickly and easily adjust the length of the plumb bob string. You just need to gently pull both strings at the same time. Without any force applied, the plumb bob immediately locks at the desired height. A piece of rebar driven in by the surveyors when measuring the neighbor's plot miraculously lined up with the boundaries of our front fences. The cable and plumb bob clearly show where the new fence will go. That's why I'm slightly trimming the plant overgrowth on the neighbor's side. My wife was planning to trim our plum tree, so I just quickly propped up the branch. I also got a good workout with the branches of our cherry trees. All that work happened off camera. I'm making sure that not a single branch touches the cable. The plumb line quickly shows that the first post of the old fence is really leaning, and it's shifted toward the neighbor's side. The second post is even more off. Let's move on. When we bought our plot in 2006, this fence was already here. According to legend, it was built by the previous owners of the neighboring plot, and for some reason in this spot, not to their own advantage. Finally, the fence returned to its proper place. I even looked at the plan of our plot. From corner to corner, it's a straight line. Of course, these are minor details, but we've already gotten used to these little strips of land. Without them, the space behind the enclosure would become noticeably narrower. It seems the previous owners of the neighboring plot created a real mystery. The string clearly shows how much the old posts have tilted from vertical over the years. That's because our soil isn't easy to deal with. It causes instability and shifting, and the fence started leaning toward the neighbor's side again. Our old wooden composter, it turns out, crossed the boundary. A stretched cable can tell you a lot. It's just like a string in music. In this case, it's sad music. The fence behind the composter didn't plan on coming back either. It turned out that our giant meadow is now half the neighbor's. A harsh plumb line loomed over the composter made of foam board, but fortunately, it's easier to move than the wooden one. It's encroaching, no matter how you see it. And these, the first daffodils to bloom behind our outdoor toilet made of foam board, turn out to be almost entirely the neighbors. Even the second to last post is encroaching. But if you move the rope a little, everything gets much better for us. The daffodils are ours again. I suspected something was wrong and called the neighbors for a discussion. No one could remember exactly what the surveyors had measured in this spot. But after discussing it, we decided to use as a reference not the thick post I had attached to, but the smaller one that was hiding behind it. It was from that post that the badly leaning fence started, dividing the neighbors on the other side. Since it was difficult to secure to the right post, I made adjustments to the existing structure. It seemed like just 78 centimeters, and the daffodils are already more ours than the neighbors. The compost bin made of foam board doesn't cross the boundary. If the stretched cable like a string made sounds, its music would be more cheerful now, at least for me. The giant meadow is still partly the neighbors, and the wooden compost bin sits neatly on our side with one corner, and almost with the second one too. If we trim it a bit, everything will be just fine, but seriously, we'll have to move the compost bins anyway, and replant the plants. The brick post of our front fence will be used as the first post. I'm finding the spot for the second post. I stuck a piece of metal rod in the ground. I have plenty of those, but the tape measure doesn't hook onto them, so a life hack came to mind. Here's how the marking is actually done. I use a tape measure to measure the required distance between the future posts, and the plumb line shows the line along which I need to measure. It's the usual old school way of projecting the line down onto the ground. Everything would be much simpler if there was a way to stretch the string right above the ground. But for that, I first need to dismantle 50 meters of the old fence, move the compost bins, and replant all the plants. That would mean getting involved in a big battle right away. A laser level won't help either. I want to work slowly without rushing. That's why I preferred this marking option. For now, without dismantling anything, first I want to determine the locations of the new posts, think everything over, and figure it out. To work out a method for installing very reliable fence posts in frost-heaving soil, and then maybe go all out. I'm setting the spacing between the posts exactly at 251 centimeters. In a burst of stocking up, I bought a bit of crushed stone and a bit of sand. I bought them in advance. The fence will require very little. Perhaps high precision is not required at this stage. The auger will be used to drill holes, which will allow for some adjustment of the post's positions. They say that striving for high precision is a diagnosis, but then it turns out the sickest ones are the Germans and the Japanese. And looking at our backyard structures, so often crooked again, you'd conclude that we're the most mentally healthy ones, we post-Soviet people. Don't judge me too harshly, but I'll try to break these crooked traditions of ours. That's why it's exactly 251 centimeters, no more, no less. I'll explain why later. Marking the second, third, fourth, and fifth posts went smoothly. Their placement is still on our side relative to the old fence. I checked for gravitational anomalies with the string. The plumb line works correctly. Everything is spot on. Next, the placement of some of the posts falls on the spot of the old fence. I leave the plumb line exactly above the pin of the fifth marked post. And I mark the position of the carabiner on the cable with a marker. We haven't decided exactly what the future fence and fill will be yet, maybe a hybrid. But any fence needs reliable posts. I screw the cable clamp onto the marked spot. Using a life hack, I attach the tape measure to the clamp. It turns out that if you loop its strap through both the cable and the tape measure body, you get another life hack. And the tape measure can hang on the cable. The tape itself tends to sag. That's where the electrical tape life hack comes in handy. If I were professionally working with fences, I would make a special cable with markings for the posts. Then I wouldn't need a tape measure at all, just the cable and a plumb line. The rubber band life hack with the rod and clamp wouldn't be necessary either. My longest 10-meter tape measure was just enough. After 10 meters, there's nothing stopping you from driving in the stake again. I added another 4 centimeters to the 10 meters. 10 meters and 4 centimeters divided by 4 gives the cherished 251 centimeters. The life hack with the electrical tape is eliminated, so for now I skip the 6th, 7th, and 8th posts and immediately mark the 9th one. The 9th rod is stuck into the ground, guided only by the plumb line. At this time, the carabiner is placed at the mark on the cable. The next post ended up on a stash of scrap metal that I had long forgotten about. As Joseph Stalin used to say, life has become better. Life has become more fun. That's true. I don't have to turn in the metal. To be honest, the last time I collected scrap metal was back in Soviet school, and it was completely free. I chose this lazy marking for now without dismantling anything, because first I need to make at least something straight that I can reliably use as a reference point. First of all, I want to install the end posts, and a few in the middle, which will divide the 50 meters into smaller sections. The wooden compost bin is blocking the marking for the next post, so for now it's also being skipped and the next one is being placed. I'm skipping the post behind the foam block composter as well. To avoid accidentally stepping on the barely visible rods, I stick pieces of my favorite leftover material on them. This way, they're easy to spot even at dusk. The flow of supplies didn't let up, and in the evening, metal for the posts arrived. The unloading was left off camera. Another neighbor brought the iron. He has the longest trailer, at least in our Gomel region, and maybe even in all of Belarus. It can be towed by a passenger car. A 12-meter metal stock fits on this trailer without any problems, which is very convenient. In the next video about the fence, I'll be trying out an ultra-low labor, ultra-material efficient method for installing ultra-reliable posts on difficult, clay-rich, heaving soil, where only a very rare post can stay upright. With the help of a simple, inexpensive homemade device that allows you to easily and very precisely install a post. So even a housewife will be able to handle this task, and we, as home craftsmen, all the more so. Time will have no power over the vertical position of these posts. So give a big thumbs up, subscribe to the Yasha Koshak Songs channel, follow on Rutube, VK Group, TikTok, and Zen. All the links are under the video. Also hit the bell, and then you'll definitely be notified. Let there be peace all over the world. Thank you.